Hello, friends, and welcome to episode number 23 of Nostalgia Talk. Now, before I begin, I just have a couple of shout-outs that I'd like to give, like always. Yesterday, April the 6th, was the birthday of one of my good friends from elementary school and high school, and I'd like to, I know I've already said it on Facebook, but Haley, happy birthday. Hope you're doing well. I hope to see you again, and I hope you had a great birthday. And tomorrow, April the 8th, is the birthday of one past guest on the show and one of my very good friends. Tomorrow is the birthday of Stuart Pankin. Some of you might remember Stuart Pankin from Dinosaurs, not necessarily the news. That's So Raven, Shake It Up, a lot of stuff with Disney. He was in Honey, I Shrunk Ourselves. He was on here last month, and that was a lot of fun getting to talk to him. So, Stuart, happy birthday to one of the funniest guys who's ever come on the show. And also, happy birthday to my first friend, Rachel. Some of you regular listeners, if you pay attention to my YouTube channel, you might remember Rachel from the first Best Friends Challenge video. Not the one I just uploaded the other day, the first one from back in August, where Rachel and I were quizzing each other on how well we know each other. So, Rachel, yes, I'm doing this just to make you feel old on purpose. Happy 24th birthday. I feel like I'm going to get killed for doing that. Rachel actually introduced me to a lot of my favorite things in the media, such as Disney, which is great timing for today's show, because today on Nostalgia Talk, I have someone who's been on many Disney shows from like the 80s and the 90s. Let's give a big welcome to Katie Leigh.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
I am
Happy to be
well.
here.
Oh, it's great to have you here. How was your Easter?
Lovely. We have nice weather here in Southern California, so it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, our weather's kind of because I'm right on the coast of Canada, it's like windy. It was rainy and a little bit icy over the Easter weekend. I went out to dinner Thursday night just before Good Friday, and my family, we were eating at a place called the Bicycle Thief here. We were eating outdoors, but we were in this hut and it was pouring rain. Thank God.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, thank God we were inside of a place, but it was outside of the actual restaurant.
Well, our church got to meet in person and it was great fun. So we enjoyed it.
Awesome. Now, for the listeners who are not aware, Katie was the voice of Sunni Gummi on Adventures of Gummy Bears, Honker Muddlefoot on Darkwing Duck, which I used to love when I was a kid, and I still do now. She was Baby Rowlf on Muppet Babies, and Jason on The Real Ghostbusters. And it's a pleasure to have someone with such an incredible career here with me today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, did you see they just came out with a Funko Pop of Sunny Gummy?
I did not, and I collect Funko Pops.
Oh, well, they have them, and Celebworks, who represents me for conventions, ordered a whole bunch. They're going to handle them all. I've got autographed copies available through Celebworks. They're working on putting up their store, but I heard that as soon as they came out, they got vaulted. So they're going to be quite a collector's item.
Wow. Well,
I autographed about 60, I think.
Nice. I take it a lot of people are big fans. I mean, I've only seen a few episodes of Gummy Bears. Never actually sat down and watched a full episode, but I told somebody that works at my school that I was going to be chatting with Sunny Gummy, and she's like, "Oh my God, really?" Like, she was so excited, and I'm talking with her tomorrow, so I'll have to tell her about this.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, it was the first animated series on the air, Saturday morning show Disney put out.
Oh, wow.
So we have a
Whoa.
little claim to fame.
I did not know that. Wow. That was a little bit before my time, but I love watching all of the retro stuff. Hence the name of the show, Nostalgia Talk.
I guess so, but I don't know. Nostalgia for you is probably like what happened yesterday for me.
A friend of mine, I was telling a story to a friend of mine that happened when I was 7, which was in the year 2006. And she's like, "How can you remember what happened in 2006? And I'm just thinking to myself, what did I have for breakfast this morning?
Yeah. Well, as the time gets longer, remember
Yeah.
odder and odder things.
Yeah. Welcome to growing old.
Thank you.
Let's get right down to business. So first of all, what got you interested in voice acting?
When the check cleared. I just I was looking. I always liked media and comedy and that sort of thing. And I studied broadcasting in school, and I heard about that people commented on my voice because I sounded so young. And so I thought, well, maybe I can make some extra money. And I started pursuing it. And one thing led to another. And I got my SAG card and I graduated college. And they said, well, it's kind of like the Beverly Hillbillies. I loaded up my truck and came back down to Los Angeles, where I grew up, but I was living in San Francisco. And I got an agent and started auditioning, and the rest is history.
Where did you go to school? Did you go to school in San Francisco?
Yeah, I graduated from San Francisco State, where
Okay,
I got my degree in broadcasting,
nice.
broadcast communication arts. But I had actually attended about 5 different colleges before I graduated.
Kind of figuring out the next step for you then, I guess.
Yeah, just, I always liked being in school, but I didn't know what I wanted to major in. So I kind of put becoming a junior on hold for a while because I didn't know what to declare. And when I actually started doing voiceover, um, one of the job interviews I went on, one of the auditions, the person interviewing me seemed really nice, and I was curious, and I asked her how she got her job, and she said she had gotten a degree in broadcasting, and I didn't even know there was such a thing. And I was like, really? Tell me more.
Wow.
And that's what got me back to college and got my degree from. So kind of, I guess, the opposite of what people do, right? Because I was working and taking some classes, and I was, pursuing voiceover a bit and doing improvisational theater in the city and just for fun. And yeah, then when she told me that, I'm like, that's a major I could do. That sounds like fun. I'll do that. So that's what happened.
So were there any cartoons in particular that were, big influences on you?
They're all big influences. I mean, I grew up watching cartoons like most people my age. Beanie and Cecil, the ones that are very clever, not so much the slapstick, but the ones that were written. Those are the ones that really stick out. So there's Beanie and Cecil cartoon. There's Fractured Fairy Tales and the Rocky and Bullwinkle, all the Jay
Oh
Ward stuff.
yeah.
It's just, really funny, really good timing, intellectual humor. Those are the kinds of things that I loved.
Yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle was pretty awesome.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Gummy Bears, Bill Scott, who played Bullwinkle, and June Foray, who was Rocky, they were part of the original Gummy Bears cast.
Oh yeah, I did a little bit of research getting ready for this, and I did see Bill Scott's name on
hmm
IMDb for Gummy Bears. So I got some questions about Bill Scott here that I'm gonna get to eventually.
Okay, well, let's get to it so we can get all your questions in before I have to do my next appointment.
Okay. So what was your first professional voiceover role?
Well, if professional means getting paid, Mel Blanc's son was doing a film for the Shriners Burns Institute and needed a voice of a little girl screaming, being burned, scalded in the bathtub. And
Oh.
my stepmother, who knew him, she worked at his hair salon where he got his hair done. I don't know. Somehow they were talking about me, and he had me audition over the phone and go over to his house and scream bloody murder. And that was the first job, probably. I might have done one for the radio before that.
So you got to know Mel Blanc?
No, that was his
Oh.
son.
Ah. I was gonna ask what was Mel Blanc like,
Well, he was short. I watched him work. I got to go to a Flintstones recording session when he was playing Barney. So I
Oh,
had seen him on more than one occasion, but I'm not sure if I actually worked with him. And I might have. Seems I have, but I don't know. I don't think if I did, I talked to him anyway very much. So, but I did
okay.
watch him work.
What a legend Mel Blanc
hmm
was. So, as I mentioned in the intro, one role that you're very well known for among many people that I know is, of course, Sunny Gummy on Adventures of Gummy Bears. Can you talk a little bit about how you got the part?
Well, I had already been working on a few cartoons, and when Michael Eisner decided they needed to make this cartoon Gummy Bears for Saturday morning, they didn't even have a department. So the people who were doing the records at the time, record albums that Disney put out, stories, different things, they put them in charge of making the cartoon. So Jim Magon, who was a writer and producer, was just watched cartoons and saw whose names were in the credits and called me into audition because he knew I was working. He didn't know much. And I was fortunate enough to get the part. And Will Ryan, who also worked on the Gummy Bears, he had done a lot of Disney records. So they kind of knew him. And he was, I think he's Pete the Giant's voice for Disney. And I should know this. Willie the Giant. Sorry, yes, that's Will's role. I should know this because Will and I have also worked together for 34 years on a radio program called Adventures in Odyssey. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's a show that's been on the air all over the world. And he's the one I'm doing our YouTube show with called Tell You Later. So we've been working a long, long time.
And if anyone's interested in Katie and Will's show, Tell You Later, I'll put a link in the description of the video if you'd like to check it out.
Wonderful. Thanks. It's silly. You know what our tagline is? Where you learn so much about so little and vice versa. If you like nostalgia, Will's a huge media buff, television buff, radio buff, actor. He knows so many old actors, so he fills us in on all kinds of information that you could probably only learn from him.
I'll have to see if he'd like to come on the show. Will, if you are listening, let me know if you want to come on Nostalgia Talk. So, we as we were talking just before I got into it, you worked with the great Bill Scott and June Foray on Adventures of Gummy Bears, and if anyone was not listening before, just a little side reference there. But if anyone missed it, Bill Scott was Bullwinkle and June Foray was Rocky the Flying Squirrel. June Foray's done a number of cartoon voices. What were they like? What was it like to work with such legends?
It was pretty daunting. I mean, these are people that I grew up watching on TV. So, it was like being with royalty. They were, June's super professional. Bill was friendly. He only did one season of the show and then he passed away, which was very unfortunate. And Corey Burton took his spot. But June was on the whole time.
Yeah, I know Corey quite well. Him and I have talked quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, great guy. And I've also met Jim Magan once.
Oh, really? Where?
Yeah. We met. Are you familiar with the D23 Expo?
Yeah.
So I went there a couple of years ago, and if any of you listeners follow the Nostalgia Talk Facebook page, then you probably already saw the pictures that I posted today, because today marks the 26th anniversary of the Goofy movie. And at that...
so you need to have Jason Marsden on your show.
Jason I've met too. They were doing a Goofy movie little cast and crew reunion, and there was Jim Magan, Bill Farmer was there, Rob Paulson, Jim Cummings, Jason Marsden, and Jenna
Jim
Bonaway.
Cummings worked on the Gummy Bears too, because he also took over one of Paul Winchell's roles. So yeah, we had him. And Disney nostalgia, Jim Cummings worked on Dumbo Circus, which is a show I'm sure you never heard of, but that was
Actually,
his
I have.
first show. Well, it was Jimmy's first show he ever did. And we worked on that together.
Yeah, Jim made me laugh when we met.
He makes everybody laugh. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, and I got the autographs of everyone I had mentioned because they were all at the autograph table. Bill Farmer, Jason Marsden, Rob Paulson.
One time they did a Disney afternoon panel for D23.
Oh, really?
I was there for that. Yeah, they invited me for that. But they haven't really. I think I was a substitute. But it was in LA. Is that where you went?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and my family was having lunch, and Jim Magan was sitting right next to us, and I went up to him and I said, "Pardon me, are you Jim Magan?" And he looks at my name tag. I had a name tag with to get in, and he looks at my name tag and he's like, "Yes. Are you James?" And I have his autograph as well. I should have pulled that out so that I could have shown you. But
It's okay. I have his autograph somewhere up here. I have a Sunni Gummy picture. I've got stuff. I've got a little bit of memorabilia. I got my new pop and little plastic Sunny and some other stuff from Jim. But
well,
I'm not very good about saving things, unfortunately.
Aw, crap.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was at the time, which is unfortunate. Like our Teddy Ruxpin doll that we worked on, or all the My Little Pony stuff. I never got it, but oh well.
It's worth a lot now, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gummy Bears, again, I haven't actually sat down and watched a full episode. I've got a lot to do at the end of the show, but do you have any favorite memories from Gummy Bears that you'd like to share with our listeners who probably have seen that show? Like favorite episodes, favorite moments from doing episodes?
Goodness. You know, Sunny, her relationship with Calla, the princess, was very sweet. They had sort of a prince and the pauper kind of relationship. And so there's some nice episodes with those two. Yeah, I don't, it's funny when you're an actor, you don't think about it so much. You don't see it for a year till it gets on TV anyway, right? Yeah, it's not immediate. So you kind of forget and then you watch it and then you might remember. I've just been rewatching Darkwing Duck episodes where I played Honker, and I just appreciate that show so much more than I did when we were doing it. It's just so wonderfully written. And I think the thing about Gummy Bears was that I was working with my idols, Paul Winchell, June, Paul. Lorenzo Music played a character on the show, and he was super famous too. And here I was, little me, wondering how I got there,
That's amazing, getting to work with all of your heroes on
it's totally amazing.
One of your first big roles. And I say big because Sunny is such, and that show even, both of those are so popular.
Yeah, absolutely. People don't get to see it because Disney locked it up.
I think it's on
whatever
Disney
reason.
Plus.
Oh yeah, now it finally came on. It finally came on this year, but they had released half of one season or half the episodes on DVD, but not the rest for some reason. So people used to come up to me at conventions saying, "When are they going to let me release this? Or do you know anything about it?" No, nobody ever tells me anything. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what they're doing at Disney. They don't call me up and tell me anything.
It's not even up to the cast for it to get released.
Oh my goodness, no.
So Darkwing Duck, which you were talking about, was one of my favorites when I was a kid. And I introduced...
Well, that's really cool because I like Big Honker Muddlefoot because he's a good guy.
Hi, Honker.
Hello. Hello.
So how did you get the role of Honker? Was that like an audition?
Yep, I had to audition for that too, but the director knew me and she kind of had something in mind. So when I came in, she said, "Do that little boy voice that you do." And I said, "Okay." And they liked it. Ta-da!
My earliest memory of Darkwing Duck came from, I had a VHS tape, and I still probably have it here because I have a VCR TV to watch all these old things on. But I had a tape that came with 2 Disney afternoon TV episodes that were Christmas related. One was Goof Troop, and it was the Goof Troop. It was the Goof Troop holiday special, and then after that was the Darkwing Duck holiday special. And I think Honker played a big role in that because
Darkwing Duck had a holiday special.
Yeah, and actually, I think Honker played a big role in it because Bushroot, you know which character I mean by Bushroot, right?
Yep, Tino.
Yeah, he had basically had these robotic Christmas trees that were taking gifts from everyone and even stole Honker's gifts.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. Okay. Yeah, it's probably on the series. I have this series on DVD. I don't know if it was really a special or just a Christmas related episode.
I call it a special, but it was a Christmas related episode.
Yeah, because before you were born, we used to do a lot of things called after school specials, Saturday afternoon specials. So there were episodes that people made that were specials.
Mm.
separate from the series.
Right. I just did a video inspired by the first guest I had on here, my mentor, Mike Peterson, who's a puppeteer on Fraggle Rock. Every Saturday morning, he does these videos of him watching an old cartoon and tasting a certain type of cereal.
Oh, how
And,
funny.
oh, yeah, they're all on
I
YouTube if
got
you'd
to
like
do
to
a
check them
cereal
out.
commercial as Sunny Gummy. That was like huge. And all I think I said was no. And it paid like a lot of money. I was like really thrilled that they picked me to do it.
Nice. But I did a video where, because I also really, in addition to watching old TV shows, I like to watch old school commercials, like commercials for toys, like especially some that I grew up with. And I have a Sesame Street doll that apparently was very huge. And I was interviewing the person who put the sound in that doll, and I wanted to get it working so that I could interview him. And so I decided to do a Nostalgia Talk bonus where I showcased it. And I posted it on a Saturday morning because I remember watching all these shows on a Saturday morning. And then
You
there would
are
be
very nostalgic, aren't you?
ever since I started high school, pretty much.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have any favorite episodes or memories from Darkwing Duck besides the holiday episode?
Besides, I think the first one, just the first one I was in, because it's just so great. It was so great working with the woman who played Gosling's voice. She was such a joy to watch and listen to.
Mm.
And we were working with Jim again, and he's so amazing. I mean, I really just like being in the audience of my own shows, just watching my fellow actors work. And Jim not only played Darkwing, but he played Herb Muddlefoot too,
Right.
Honker's dad.
I have a neighbor who I always thought looked like Herb Muddlefoot a little bit.
How funny. And because we got a lot of guest stars. So, we had all kinds of people come in and play bad guys, and that was fun, just working with all the great talent.
Nice.
That's my favorite part of anything.
Pat Fraley, when he came on here in November, do you know Pat?
Oh yeah.
He was saying that at that time they couldn't really afford to bring in big name celebrity guests like most cartoon shows are able to now. So the people that were directing and writing would go up to people like you and Jim Cummings and Pat and say, "Can you do this voice?" And if they would say
well,
no,
we always got paid for 3 voices.
Or more.
Up to 3 voices.
Oh,
yes,
really?
Yeah, so our salary included 3 voices until around 1987 when it became 2 voices and you get 10% more if you do a 3rd voice. So that's how they would save money. And that's why people who go into animation, maybe now it's a little bit different, but back then you had to do like be able to do 3 distinct characters because they needed you in the cast to play multiple people.
Oh, wow. There was one episode featuring Honker that I remember where Honker, I think he was accused of stealing a painting, which was
In the art, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
There is another podcast. I was a guest on, and it's the Darkwing Duck podcast.
Oh, really?
And Will Santana's show, and they just watch every episode and do really good commentary. So they asked me to be a guest on that one. And I'm trying to think what the name of the episode is. But yeah, that was a great episode. I enjoyed watching it.
I remember I had bought a VHS tape that contained that episode. And I was in an art class in high school at the time. And we were doing Salvador Dali inspired work, I think. And I remember having dinner that night and watching.
Oh, I know what this is.
Yeah. And I remember seeing the persistence of memory. So I emailed my art teacher, Miss Allie, and I said to her, "This is from a show called Darkwing Duck. I think you'll notice some artwork that you've been showing us." And the next day, she said to me, "I used to watch that show."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
one of the first syndicated shows they did.
Oh, wow. Wow. Now, on that show, you not only got to work with Jim Cummings and Christine Cavanaugh. Christine Cavanaugh, of course, is no longer with us. But you also got to work with the late Dana Hill, who played Honker's older and very tough-looking brother. I always used to think that Tank, which for any of the listeners who don't know, Tank, I always used to think that Tank was a big bully, but he wasn't really much of a bully looking back. He was just a very intimidating looking character, and even his actions were very intimidating. So that
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of a bully, but bullies always come from a place of insecurity. So,
right. Yeah.
he had to be tough, in his mind, and his parents were loony. So,
Especially
and he wasn't
especially Hank.
smart. He wasn't smart like Honker. So, you gotta, what is it? Go with your strengths. So I guess that was Tank's strength.
Do you have any memories of Dana and Christine that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I loved both of them very much. And Dana, when Dana was in the hospital before she passed away, Dana was a type 1 diabetic.
That's
And
right. I remember that.
when she was in the hospital, my daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Oh, wow.
And I guess, I don't know if that's a memory, but I always hold her close in my heart because I know what a struggle it was for her. And I always hope my daughter would. I think she's already lived longer than Dana. So, yeah.
I'm
And
sorry to hear that your
Christine,
daughter has diabetes.
yeah, it's rough, but she's doing really well. She actually has a nonprofit. If any diabetics out there listening and you're aware of, on Instagram, called You're Just My Type, or Facebook, You're Just My Type 1 is her nonprofit, and there's about 43,000 people who follow her, and she's helped a lot of people create community who have type 1, and I don't think that community existed for Dana.
If only it
Excuse
had.
me. But we had a lot of fun. We worked on a lot of different shows together, Jane and me. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. And Christine was just amazing. I used to watch her on a Nickelodeon TV show on camera that she did before she went into voiceover.
Oh, wow.
And I thought she was funny, called Salute Your Shorts. Salute Your Shorts. I think might have been made in Canada. I don't know. But she was very funny, and she was just a absolute unique, brilliant talent. And she, went on to do the Rugrats and just kind of got overwhelmed with Hollywood and split. But yeah, good souls.
When I was little, that's what I wanted to be when I grew up, a Rugrat.
Ah!
Well, they got the reboot coming out, so if any of the Rugrat producers are listening, maybe make my 1-year-old dream come true, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe make mine too. My cousin Cheryl is Angelica's voice.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That's amazing.
Yeah. So if I can't get on, good luck.
I'll remember that. So I'm a huge Muppet nut. I mean, any of the regular listeners know that. And you were the voice of Baby Rowlf on Muppet Babies. Were you a Muppet fan before doing that show?
I was a huge Muppet fan before that show. That was my favorite thing to watch. Yes, I watched the Muppet Show every week, and when that opportunity came up, I made sure I was at the auditions and just thought, who could I be? Who could I do? And I loved Rowlf since I was a little girl, like 3 years old. So
because Rowlf was one of the first big stars of the Muppets.
Yeah, he was, but a lot of people didn't know what he sounded like, but I did. And
you do it well.
Thank you. He said a lot of people they knew Piggy and Kermit from the Muppet Show, but a lot of people, Rolf's kind of a guy who hangs out in the background, and that's how I am too. So our personalities are similar. He just enjoys being part of the crowd. He's just there, and that's how I am too. So we have similar personalities, although he plays the piano better than I do, for sure.
Yeah, Rowlf was actually first created for a dog food commercial, and I was talking to Jim Henson's biographer about a month ago. We were doing some talk about the Muppet Show, and he was talking about when he was big into the Muppet Show, and his mom had remembered watching Rowlf on the Jimmy Dean Show. And
yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
Well, Brian had said that Brian J. Jones, which is Jim Henson's biographer, he had told me that when his mom had said, "Oh, I remember watching Rowlf on the Jimmy Dean show," and Brian's like, "No, you didn't. Rowlf was on the Muppet Show first." But he didn't know that at the time because he was a Muppet Show kid.
No, I watched him on the Jimmy Dean show. Yeah, that was my first memory. And it's the Muppets. They're so fascinating, and it was just such a dream come true to be able to actually work with him and meet Jim Henson and have him come to our recording sessions. And that another idol of mine. I feel like I've had a star-studded career. I'm not being the star, but everybody else, and I've enjoyed being around them so much. And every time I went to New York, they weren't filming Sesame Street, but I can't tell you how many loads of laundry ironing I did watching Sesame Street, because I love Sesame. I love the whole concept, and the genius behind them just never ceases to amaze me.
I was wondering if you had met Jim Henson. What was he like?
Dear, thoughtful, kind, respectful, pretty quiet in our meetings. Just very gracious.
One of my idols, him and Walt Disney.
Yeah, they're the big ones.
So you also were on the Real Ghostbusters, and actually, before doing these shows, I always like to listen to a lot of very upbeat music. That really gets me all pumped up. So I go for walks and I listen to some very upbeat music. And knowing that I was going to be talking to you, I was listening to the Ghostbusters theme on a loop. Did you have to watch the Ghostbusters films before doing the animated show?
No, I don't even think I played that. I don't think that character was even on very much. That I played. I don't think, unless it's a character that I was on the show, but you can't believe everything you read on IMDb. I was a kid. I played a kid. Is that Jason a kid?
Yes.
Okay, because all right, yeah. No, you didn't have to. No, they just wanted me to play this kid. So
Okay.
no, I didn't have to watch it. I did watch it, but I'm not a big sci-fi person. So I mean, that show's funny. Got Bill Murray and everybody. I remember Arsenio Hall was on that one, right?
On the animated one?
Yeah.
I think.
There was
I haven't watched it in a
Ghostbusters
while.
and the Real Ghostbusters. There were two Ghostbusters. And Frank Welker was Slimer. Yeah, I mean, I also worked on a series with John Candy. And he had all his friends. I mean, I do lots of boy voices.
Yeah, such as Honker.
Such as Honker.
Yeah.
And Rowlf.
Yes, one of the legends. Now I'm a big Full House fan, and like obviously from the show that I do, which is about retro TV shows and movies and projects. I've been watching Full House a lot lately. Did you get to know Dave Coulier very well when you did Real Ghostbusters? Because he was doing Bill Murray's character.
No, I got to know Dave Coulier really well when he came on Muppet Babies.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot he was on that.
Yes, when he took Howie Mandel's place and did Animal and Bunsen. I think he might have done Beaker too. I'm not sure. Yeah, I got to know him. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I was in the lobby the day he got the phone call that he got Full House.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. There was a documentary, well, not a documentary, more of a biopic on the development of Full House, and it actually had an actor playing Dave that was actually showing his reaction when he got the phone call.
Where did they show him?
Oh, where are they showing the documentary?
Well, yeah, or where did they show him getting the phone call?
I'd have to see it again, but it's been years since I've watched it. I'm
curious because our memories are not always 100%, but that's the way I remember it.
Wow. Yeah. Have you ever watched Full House?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
There was one episode where that actually referenced Muppet Babies. I feel like it was probably just referencing his career on that show now that I think about it, but it was after Jesse and Becky had raised Nikki and Alex a little bit, but at that point they were really starting to push their limits. And I remember Bob Saget saying, "I know that they're toddlers, but they could at least be taught to put away their toys." And he picked up a little baby Gonzo doll, and Joey says, "Danny, that's mine."
Oh, that's great. That's really good.
And he actually does a little Gonzo impression. Hey, the big guy sat on my nose. I'm not that great at Gonzo. I kind of
Hey,
make
the big guy sat on my nose.
Yeah, that's a little bit better than mine. Gonzo's got a very screechy kind of voice.
Well, Gonzo is a girl,
So,
right?
no, I think Gonzo was a male.
No, but the woman who did his voice, Lucy Taylor,
Right,
was a
right.
woman.
Okay, yeah, okay. I was a little bit confused there. And Lucy Taylor, for any of you listeners who are not aware, Lucy Taylor was also the voice of Minnie Mouse.
Yep.
She just passed away not too long ago. Do you have any memories of Lucy that you'd like to share? Because she was quite legendary.
Yes. That's one of my biggest memories because Lucy's one of the first people I met when I came to Hollywood. And she was at that Flintstones recording session that I told you I saw Mel Blanc recording.
Right.
And she was Pebble's voice. And I was very shy and nervous, and I knew that we had similar voices. And after the recording session, we were outside in front of Hanna-Barbera, and I kind of introduced myself, but I thought, oh, she's going to hate me because she's going to see me as competition. And she was so gracious, and she said, "Come on down. There's plenty of work for everyone." And so I always want to give new people that same encouragement that she gave me, and I adored her, absolutely adored her. And she was so funny and so sweet to everybody, and a great person. And she was a friend, so I loved her.
Did you get to know her husband, Wayne Allwine, who also was Mickey Mouse?
Right. Well, I kind of knew him, but I never worked with Wayne. So, I'd see them on occasion, together, and I knew who he was, but I wasn't friends. And of course, when she married him, she was married actually to somebody else when I first met her. So
Oh.
when she married Wayne, she was exceedingly happy and didn't need to be friends with anybody else. She was they were very, very much in love.
Yeah, much like Mickey and Minnie in the
Much like,
cartoons.
yep, exactly. Yep.
Mm.
The true fact.
Mm. So you also did the TV show Totally Spies, which I watched as a 7-year-old from time to time.
Okay.
Now that show was French Canadian. I think it was done in Quebec. So when you did that
No,
show,
it was done in Paris.
oh, okay. I thought it was.
It's from a French company, not French Canadian.
Oh, okay.
Marathon in France, but we recorded it here in Los Angeles before they went to Cartoon Network. It was first on Disney on ABC Family Channel, and then they didn't renew it, and then Cartoon Network picked it up, and then they started recording with Canadians.
Ah,
And that's why I was not on the other episodes. They
okay.
replaced me and Jess Harnell.
Aw, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So that happens.
Mm. So you also did various roles on another show that I used to watch when I was in single digits, the Mr. Men Show.
Yes, I did 3 characters on there.
Yeah.
I was Little Miss Chatterbox. I was Little Miss Helpful and Little Miss Daredevil.
Wow. Yeah, I used to watch that show because I think we had the books like Mr. Grumpy Pants or something like that.
Mr. Grumpy.
Yes. Yeah. So for some of these shows, do you figure out about some of the auditions from knowing some of the people who worked on them? Like, do they sometimes say to you, "Hey, I'm doing this new series, and we're still auditioning for characters. Would you consider auditioning?"
No, first of all, number one, I'm just going to give you the 5-minute warning here, okay? Because I got to have another commitment. So
Okay, I'm almost finished. So
yeah, no. First of all, we're always open to audition. That isn't even a question, okay? Yeah, of course, I'll audition for anything.
mm-hmm.
But the people doing the voices don't usually have anything to do with casting. At least
Okay.
not back then. Nowadays, maybe a little bit different. But
Okay.
no, it goes to our agents. If the director knows you from something else, they'll want to, bring you in maybe because they've worked with you and they like you and they think you could, play a role.
Okay.
But that's how that works.
Okay. So before we wrap it up, what are you working on right now?
Well, we just finished. If you're a nostalgia fan like me, as far as Highlights magazine, you know the Goofus and Gallant cartoons in the Highlights magazines. I don't know if you're
I haven't heard of
familiar.
those. No.
Well, I grew up with that. Well, Audible Books produced a series of 8 episodes of Goofus and Gallant that you can listen to, and I got to be Goofus's voice.
Nice.
I finished. I Last year I directed a few shows. I may go back and do some more on YouTube, little kids shows. One's called Chi Chi Love, and some funny dubbed a series from Korea, Super Zach. I work
Cool.
on some video games. On Miyagi is one of them. Blade and Soul I've worked on. I play Brother Haju, and I'm the system voice for Blade and Soul, the female one, and the system voice for on Miyagi, Shadowverse game that I work on. And I do a lot of, still working on Adventures in Odyssey. We're doing a Bible series where we're dramatizing the whole Bible called Adventum that listeners can hear. I think they've just finished volume 4, but I don't think it's produced yet.
Okay.
A book that's out now called The Hidden Hand that I got to play the lead in. Produced not too far from you in upstate New York at Lamplighter Ministries. And I do, like I said, do a lot of e-learning. Do some voices for Khan Academy kids. I like to do a lot of the preschool stuff. I've been coaching. I do workshops. I teach people. We started a workout for people who want to do just a twice a month online peer directed workout group for people wanting to try their animation chops out. And if they go to my website, katieleigh.com,
Link in the description.
yes, somewhere, you'll see the workshops that I do. And I've planned them out for the whole year. So people who just want to do a workshop and see what it's really like, I like to say animation's like a sport. It takes a lot more energy than people think. And someone said, yeah, we're vocal athletes. And I said, yeah, we are vocal athletes. So it's not chill. It's not laid back. It's a lot of energy, a lot of volume. So I've been doing that. I'm going to be at an event, a homeschool convention, speaking in Florida
Oh, wow.
in May. And then there's an audio theater conference in Virginia in October I'll be at called Sonicon. And last year was their first year and it was terrific. It was a lot of people who produce audio dramas. And yeah, graphic audio also does some stuff and I'm working with them this week. I do a lot of different things. Is that
Wow.
enough?
Well, looks like you've got a lot going on
And I
happening.
still have to make dinner.
Yeah, we're 4 hours ahead of you. It's 6:45 here, and
Yeah.
so that would be 2:45 in LA.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I've really enjoyed chatting with you. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I just wish you the best. Congratulations. Sounds like people are really enjoying what you're doing. And, you know, if they want to watch Tell You Later and they like nostalgia, I think they'll love to learn all the trivia that we share on our show. We like to call it a show because it's pretty goofy. And yeah, check it out on YouTube. Tell Ya Later.
Yeah. Well, to the listeners, again, the link to Tell You Later will be in the description of the video if you'd like to check it out. And stay tuned because I've got more Nostalgia Talk and more Nostalgia Talk bonus videos coming out. Actually, I have one coming out later this week. So until then.
How exciting!
And make sure you like Nostalgia Talk YouTube on Facebook, and I'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace.